YouTube Ozick, going NFL training camp is in full swing, so here are the 13 most interesting things you need to know about from camp so far. The Godows is back. Tennessee Titans star defensive tackle Jeffrey Simmons showed up to camp in incredible shape, and now he is getting reps across the entire defensive line. When I say the entire defensive line, I mean the entire defensive line. A lot of these star defensive tackles, they're versatile. They play over the guard, 3 technique, nose tackle like Simmons has in his career. But now he's taking it a step further. He is playing a bit off the edge in camp. Coaches are speaking highly of him there, or just across the board being a versatile piece. But he's actually dominated there against the starting offense line, including the new addition of Dan Moore. He's actually torched guys at times off the edge. So this should be really fun to watch this year. I feel like he is very capable. He's a star player that probably doesn't get enough credit. Tennessee Titans are really strong on the interior defense line with Simmons and Sweat, and the edge position is where they could get a little better. I thought it was interesting that they added Draymond Jones, who once was more of an interior defensive lineman where he played very well. Recently, he switched to an edge rusher where he could help the Tennessee Titans, but I'm wondering if you kind of can move these guys around, flip these guys in different positions here and there now that Simmons is becoming an extremely versatile piece. But it's just something to get really excited for, whether you're a Tennessee Titans fan or not. You get to watch a star player try to elevate his game and play multiple different positions, so something to watch. It seems like the most talked about thing right now from training camp so far, maybe the biggest storyline, at least on social media, is the Bears offense struggling. It's all you hear about. Caleb Williams this, Caleb Williams that. But what no one's talking about, and should be, is what is making the offense struggle, the defense. And what stands out to me about that is it's a new defensive coordinator, well-respected Dennis Allen, and there seems to be no adjustment period. They're already picking. They're ready. They're ready for the season. Every clip that I've seen, everything that I've heard, they just look ready. They look smooth. They look much better, much improved from last year. There's different elements to the defense. They're adding that blitz game, and they're making things tough on the offense. They're starting off the day by blitzing them a ton. It's only going to help. So, and that's the thing with the offense too. Why the main reason it's struggling right now, or at least early, is there's an adjustment period. It makes sense. There's a new Ben Johnson's there. There's a new offense, new playbook, second-year quarterback. It's gonna take a little time to learn this thing and get it down, right? But that's the beauty of the defense right now. They're kind of skipping over that adjustment period, and that's wonderful to see. So it looks like Dennis Allen is really, especially from last year where they were at, he's really elevating this defense already hearing good things about players potentially breaking out. Jermaine Edmonds is a guy that has a ton of upside, waiting for that huge breakout season. He broke out a little bit, but could finally happen this year under Dennis Allen. And I think the offense, again, this defense is going to make the offense better just by giving them those tough times in practice. And something the Bears really struggled with last year was stopping the run, and Dennis Allen throughout his career, he knows how important that is. He's always had a good run stopping defense with New Orleans, so that's something to kind of watch and see if they improve in that category going forward into this year. The Cleveland Browns quarterback competition seems to be one of the biggest storylines in the NFL training camp world right now, so a quick update on that. Joe Flacco seems to be leading the way. So right away, the first few days of practice, most reports out of Cleveland were, Flacco is far and away the guy. Like, he's QB1. He is way better than everyone else. And there was some reports sprinkled in there that Kenny Pickett is actually in that running. He's not as consistent as Flacco, but he's very much in that running for QB1. But now, Kenny Pickett suffers a hamstring injury. Hamstrings can be very, very tricky. You don't want to come back too early from those. And you have a limited amount of time here. You got preseason games coming right up. So that separates, gives Flacco that separation a little bit more. But Pickett still has a shot if he can get back in timely manner, but Dillon Gabriel, a couple rookies. Dillon Gabriel seems to be getting more of an opportunity than Shedeur Sanders, meaning he's getting more reps with the ones, more of a look, which could make sense. The Browns staff liked him better. They drafted him before Sanders, but has he actually looked better than Sanders is the big question. In the first full padded practice, Shedeur Sanders had himself a day, going 9 for 9, a perfect outing. And we know he's a very accurate quarterback, and that is transferring over right now. Now let's see if they give him more of an opportunity. Let's see if he can work more and more with the ones, with the better receivers, because the depth of the receiver position isn't the greatest. So we're looking forward to seeing that. But it's good to see a guy put on the pads and get even better. And we know Sanders has that toughness when the pads come on. So it kind of makes sense. So Flacco leading the way, but could things get a little interesting, especially with the guy who's fourth right now in Shedeur Sanders? Everyone knew the Patriots desperately had to improve at the receiver position this offseason, and they added a couple pieces, but it felt like the talk, the chatter from people, they improved a little bit. They still have a lot of the same receivers for Drake May, but so far early in training camp, it's looking like they're much more improved than how everyone was talking or expecting. And that starts with, once you think about it, once you see what's happening at camp, it starts to make a bit of sense, because their main two expected starting receivers are brand new, Stephon Diggs, the rookie Kyle Williams. They are tearing it up right now. And if you get two new legit, better than expected starting receivers, it creates better depth. It just makes the whole room better, makes your quarterback better. So once you look at it like that, it's like, okay, yeah, they're probably taking a bigger jump. It makes sense they take a bigger jump than expected. But Stephon Diggs, this guy got injured last year. Typically, veterans that get injured, especially knee injury that badly, they take it easy at the start of camp. We see guys right now, they're still out. They're trying to work their way back. They're taking it easy. Diggs out there day one and looking electric. You don't want to overreact, but looking like prime Diggs. Now, I feel like he can easily get back there. I thought he was looking great before he got injured last year, so I still think he has that high-level talent in him. So people were talking this offseason like he's declining or he's not going to come back healthy. I didn't know where that was coming from. And Kyle Williams, the rookie, the underrated rookie during that pre-draft process from Washington State, has really shined in practice. Looks like a legit option. He's perfect for Drake Mayball, the deep threat, the speedy separator, home run hitting type guy. So factor these guys in the starting lineup at the receiver position. It just makes the position for Drake May that much better. It makes the whole room that much better. So something to get excited about ahead of schedule for the New England Patriots. It seems like the entire NFL world is reading too much into Travis Hunter's snap counts in training camp so far. So technically, he's got more snaps on defense. You look at 11 on 11, more snaps on defense, 7 on 7 in practice. He's got more snaps on offense. But that's making people go, oh, he might be a defense-first guy. He might play more defense during the regular season for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that's where I think people are reading into it, a little too much. So when practice first started, there were more 7 on 7s, and he was playing more, and he still has been playing more offense in those sessions, more snaps on offense. And when the 11 on 11 started, he started to play more defense in those, but it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense because at the receiver position on 7 on 7, in 7 on 7s, you can learn the playbook. You can learn the routes, which is most important for a receiver. You don't need an offensive line out there to learn those things. And for defense, the defensive play call changes based on how the offense is aligned. So pretty much learn the defense. You have to absolutely play defense in 11 on 11. So obviously they want him to learn both, but this doesn't mean that he is going to play more defense or he's a defense first guy. It actually makes perfect sense. Right away, he's playing offense 7 on 7. He's learning the routes. He's learning the playbook. Mission accomplished. Now, Jags are sprinkling in more 11 on 11s. It's time for him to learn the defense. It makes perfect sense. I expect him to play more offense, but he is going to play both. Could be a generational prospect at either position. This isn't going to take away. This isn't going to prevent him from doing his thing at the receiver position. I think he can be an elite receiver in the NFL early in his career, so everyone should relax a little bit, based off these snaps. George Pickens is absolutely killing it at the Dallas Cowboys training camp right now. Looks like a legit receiver. Early in his career, he's still early in his career, we saw flashes that made everyone go, could Pickens be elite? Is he on his way? And that he never got fully consistent and couldn't obviously fully get there. But the Steelers also had, inconsistent moments on offense with very inconsistent quarterback play, question at the quarterback position. So that could also play a part. No one's really talking about that, but he's been lights out at the Cowboys camp. It seems like a perfect fit, just instantly making an impact. And again, for all those reasons, it makes sense, because what was going on with the Steelers and their offense, their quarterback situation. Now, I know a lot of people rip Dak, but Dak is a good, accurate quarterback that can get receivers the football. He can sling the football around, so he's got a good, consistent quarterback right now. He's got an elite receiver next to him in CeeDee Lamb that is distracting So look out for George Pickens. That trade is already, we got to wait and see. It is already looking like an absolute steal. I think that was the Cowboys' issues early last year while Dak was healthy. Everyone was just game planning for CeeDee Lamb, make anyone else beat us. And now you got another option to worry about, especially on the boundary while Lamb could dominate anywhere, but especially in the slot. So it's just perfect fit. I said it when it happened. Perfect fit. And he could be more consistent and better now that he has a quarterback, CeeDee Lamb, with him. And that's already showing in camp. Like, he is instantly in there and instantly going, learning this offense and making big-time plays. So that trade, at this early stage, looking really good for Dallas. The Colts quarterback competition's been a pretty big storyline so far, but there's a little bit more I want to add on to that. But at the start, Anthony Richardson, like the first couple days, it looked kind of brutal for Anthony Richardson, but it's sounding really good right now. All of a sudden, he's starting to turn the page, heat up a little bit, look a little more calm, confident, smooth, like he understands the offense better, like he understands defenses better. So that's fantastic that we're starting to see improvement for a player that's supposed to be improving, and he still could. He still has a ton of upside. So that's fantastic to hear. I mean, there hasn't been a ton of days of camp so far. Started off a little slow, getting going. So you don't want to overreact yet. You do want to see more and more. But because of that, and there's nothing really noteworthy or highlighting about Daniel Jones so far, could Anthony Richardson be leading the way? When they signed Daniel Jones and Richardson already had an injury, you go, all right, Daniel Jones is easily the front runner. Now you're going, oh, wait, not so fast. Watch out for Anthony Richardson. And on top of that, Tyler Warren has been as expected. I mean, elite prospect that was a dream fit and pick for the Indianapolis Colts. A steal, it felt like, for them. He's been exactly that. I still can't believe the Colts got him. Just absolutely perfect. He's just been an absolute stud, making plays when going against the defense all over the field, making contested catches, making spectacular catches. And on top of that, he seems to be a favorite target for the quarterbacks, but mainly Anthony Richardson. So you want to that makes it a step up. You want to hear that with Anthony Richardson. But what's great about that is, think about the Colts' weapons. I mean, at running back, Jonathan Taylor, but Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, and Warren seems to be the favorite target already when he's just stepping in there. I mean, all around, I think that's fantastic because you have so many weapons on top of that, and the rookie is figuring it out. He's just such a perfect fit. We knew that. We knew it was a dream pick. Didn't have to trade up for him. So get excited about Tyler Warren, and then hopefully get excited about Anthony Richardson, starting to look a little bit better. Bucs rookie receiver Emeka Egbuka already looks like a sure thing. And those early reports about rookie receivers, history shows, they actually tend to be a little accurate, actually. And he is already looking legit. It was a little bit of a surprise pick in the first round just because the Buccaneers already were loaded at receiver. Well, now they're even more loaded at the position. He was more of a slot receiver at Ohio State with a lot more upside to play multiple different positions. And the Buccaneers already view him as a very versatile receiver, can align at X, Y, or Z. He's doing that with the one since day one. He's making spectacular catches. He's making plays all over the field. It feels like a do-it-all smart receiver. And you hear Baker raving about him. You hear Todd Bowles raving about him. I mean, for guys like that to be raving about a rookie right away, that's actually not as common as you would think. I know that's their guy. It's their teammate. It's their player. But it's actually not that common. So it's all signs point towards like Egbuka being, a sure thing. Like, he's going to be good. Like, there's no one's saying he's going to be an elite. He could be that, but like, he's a sure thing to be good, and it's perfect situation for Tampa. You start to realize, hey, maybe they need a receiver more. They didn't desperately need one, but maybe they need one a little bit more than you think, because Chris Godwin coming off an injury, and he's a damn good slot receiver, but does tend to have injuries pop up. So he can play in the slot if he's not in there. Egbuka can play in the slot. He could start in the slot if Godwin's not out there. But Mike Evans, 1 year left on his deal. That's a guy maybe you don't want him to play 100% snaps where he is in his career. Had some injuries pop up. I trust him still, but Egbuka could play out there. They have McMillan, obviously, for the rotation. Tez Johnson actually looking pretty solid as well. He's more of a rotation at the slot position. So Egbuka could start with those guys. He could start for one of those guys. He could fill in at any spot you want. So everything is just feeling very, very promising for the rookie, who was kind of a surprising pick. And just for the Buccaneers offense, I mean, there's so much firepower with that offense in that passing game, and you have a really good running back duo as it is. The only downside is Tristan Wirfs going to start out, not in the lineup to start the year, so that's pretty tough. And some injuries here and there, but at least he'll be back. But yeah, some positive news here out of Tampa Bay Buccaneers training camp. Let's talk more about some rookie receivers. The Chargers desperately needed to improve at the receiver position, and their main additions were from the draft. Trey Harris and Keandre Lambert-Smith, and these guys are showing out. They are turning heads since day one of camp, and that it's huge just because your rookies are, you want your rookies to look good. They had a stellar rookie class last year, in general throughout the roster, looking great again. And it's huge because, again, they needed a big time boost at the receiver position. They're going to get it from these rookies. Trey Harris, after the Chargers drafted him, I was hyped. A perfect fit. As long as he's healthy, this is going to be a stud starter for the Chargers right away. It's looking that way. The exact receiver they needed. And now they found an absolute gem, a steal in Keandre Lambert-Smith. And, he looked the part. He played the part. He just had some drops here and there at Auburn. So he's got to make sure he catches. That's really what it is. Just catch the football, and he's making some spectacular catches out there. So rookie's looking great, looking very promising for now and the future. And it's going to give the Chargers receiver group that much needed boost for the pass game for Justin Herbert, for Ladd McConkey, take some pressure off him. They should have a very strong running game, with no matter who they have in there. I think it's going to be strong, but Amari Hampton could take it to that next level. So another rookie class is probably going to be really good for the Chargers, and it's looking good for these rookie receivers who are definitely turning heads so far. One of the very biggest storylines from NFL training camp so far has been Terry McLaurin, the Commanders, in the contract situation. McLaurin was holding out. He did change that to a hold-in. He's still, in a way, holding out. And the latest reports are that they are very far apart in contract talks, and everyone's negative about it. I've been super optimistic about this. I talk about a lot of trade scenarios, realistic ones that are more long shots, and I kind of refused this whole time to talk about Terry McLaurin getting traded because I'm optimistic about this. I am not worried, and I am sticking with that. I do not think there's any way that Terry McLaurin is not out there with the Commanders in week 1, but I guess we'll see. But I've said it before. I'll continue to say it. I'll say it again and again. The Washington Commanders, well, first off, Terry McLaurin is a super nice guy. He has stated he wants to be out there, maybe why he changed from a holdout to a hold-in. He doesn't want to break this team up. He doesn't want to be a distraction, to tear this team down, anything negative. He doesn't want negative vibes out there, so he wants to be there. If he has a chance to sign a contract that makes sense to him, he will sign it. But another big reason here, I'm not worried, the Commanders went all in at completing this offense, making it elite this offseason. They didn't need a ton of things, but they touched up the offensive line, mainly with Laramie Tunsil, and which allows them to move some other guys around, make it better. And they added Deebo Samuel, and Jane Daniels continue to get better and better. So they made the offense elite. Why would they turn around and not have Terry McLaurin, their best weapon, for Jane Daniels, be a part of that? It makes no sense. So I guess that's the issue right now. The Commanders don't have leverage, if you look at it that way, and McLaurin and his agent, they have the leverage, so they're trying to get as much as they can get. I think we're gonna get to the point where both sides, give in, let's meet in the middle. I think a little bit more towards McLaurin's side, which makes sense, and they're going to get something done. He's going to be out there. People are worrying a little too much. Not that anyone's panicking, but I'm not worried at all with this. It should get done, but I guess you never know, but I'm confident. The reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, with their reigning #1 defense in football, hit the field in training camp with Cooper DeJean starting in their base defense at the safety position. And then when they go nickel package, he is at that slot corner spot where he played, obviously, and made an impact most of last year. So it's just something really fun to look forward to. DeJean playing different spots, maybe starting at safety. He has a lot of upside there. They do have a rookie in Andrew Makuba who I like a lot. Love the fit. They're going to work him in. He could end up starting. It's definitely possible he could end up starting at safety. But you got a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different outcomes. But this is a lot of fun to me, and it's definitely something to monitor, something to watch. It only can make the Eagles better, having a guy that has upside, a young player, learn a different spot and play multiple different spots, because he is that type of dude. He's that type of guy that can make an impact anywhere. But I actually graded Cooper. He played outside, boundary corner at college at Iowa, but I actually graded him as a safety. Why? Because I viewed him as right away best in the slot. I said all these things pre-draft, best in the slot with a little bit more upside in the middle of the field at safety rather than boundary corner. And that's starting to kind of come true a little bit because number one, he still is a slot corner, but it's a lot different than a boundary outside corner. But he has that upside at safety. They're starting to work him in there. We can see him play both those spots for the Philadelphia Eagles elite defense. So something to really get excited about. A player that was already, we were already getting really excited about, but something definitely to watch going forward. I'm excited about it. Much like the Browns and the Colts, the Saints quarterback competition has been somewhat of a storyline, but I'm sitting here saying, is it a competition? And technically it still is. It's still very, very early, but early it feels like it's Spencer Rattler's job. He has looked, since day one, he has looked smooth, he's looked sharp, and he hasn't been perfect all the way through. He's had his hiccups here and there based on, what we've heard, but it just feels like it's his job, and I've heard the coaches speak very, very highly of him, and that stands out to me as well because I know it's the same front office that picked Spencer Rattler, so that is important too, but it's a new staff led by Kellen Moore, and they did not pick that coaching staff who ultimately decides what the offense is, what it looks like, who's starting at every position. They didn't pick Spencer Rattler. They picked Tyler Shough. They had to have Tyler Shough. We heard it leading up to the draft. They loved him. The interviews went good, and they loved him enough in the draft to take him ahead of some other notable quarterbacks. So typically in a young rebuilding, somewhat of, they're not square one rebuild, but a team like that, typically they just, we're going to put the guy out there, the rookie that was more known for pro ready. He's a little bit older in age for a rookie. We're going to throw him out there and get him reps, get him better, and that could still happen. But typically that's, in this scenario, this situation, that would be the way most coaches go. But so far, I like that they're not forcing anything. They're not forcing him with Shough, who's been a little up and down. Obviously, he was late to sign his contract, so maybe that plays a part of it. I don't know. He is a rookie, but they like Spencer Rattler. He's the guy right now. Starting to get maybe the early Oklahoma days Rattler out of him, which he was supposed to be a star. I mean, he has arm talent. He has some athleticism. Kellen Moore has done a really good job, learned from several different good systems with good quarterbacks. He won a Super Bowl last year. So, I don't know. It's something to kind of get excited about here and something to watch as we continue to go through camp and preseason. These guys are going to compete. So, it's something I'm getting excited about. And, it's just something to know about right now with Rattler leading the way. Watch out for the Denver Broncos, probably the team that I've heard and seen the most positive from so far early at this very early stage in NFL training camp. So it's something to really get excited about. The downside of NFL training camp for any fan out there is that, our quarterback looks really good. The offense looks lights out. But then you go, that kind of means our defense isn't playing too well, right? Or the opposite. The defense looks great, but that means maybe our quarterback, maybe our offense is struggling. Typically how it goes, it is pretty damn rare to just see and hear good, like really, really good things about both the starting offense and starting defense. And we have that rare instance here with the Denver Broncos. You got a lot of plays where it was a good throw from Bo Nix. The defense is just that good. They made a good play, or the defense was locked down in coverage. The secondary looking really good, but Bo Nix just made that big time throw to Troy Franklin downfield. And we just hearing a lot of that from a lot of different players, and that it's just a beautiful thing. And it is very early, and a lot of times we hear that about teams. It's more so at preseason games, though, and people kind of get hyped on those teams, and they don't end up being as good. But it doesn't really feel like the case here. It just feels like a lot of positive from Denver, and they're a team. Over the last month or so after I did my predictions, I'm like, maybe I'm a little higher on Denver now. Maybe I've been sleeping on them a little bit, and this is kind of adding on top of that. So just hearing really good things from Bo Nix. I mean, you hear all the talk about him talking with Drew Brees. I mean, I think it's blown up a little bit. What is, talking with Drew Brees going to do? But it sounds like it's very positive, doing really good things, and he just looks a lot sharper, looks a lot more confident, smooth, like he can operate more of a leader. Hearing things that he was already pretty quick, but hearing he's looking lightning fast to some of these players out there, his teammates, especially on defense out there. So he could continue to, and he looked very impressive last year. He could continue to take those steps up. It's a great sign. Troy Franklin, along with several other receivers, but Franklin, I think the talk last year was, he's disappointing right now and didn't see enough of him, and it's the opposite right now, looking really, really good. And you kind of expect him to have that connection with Bo Nix. So that's fantastic. But hearing good things about really receivers and players throughout their entire roster, I just keep hearing Troy Franklin. So that's something to monitor, something to keep an eye on there on the defense, People saying it very much could be elite. It had a really good stretch last year. I think the pass defense went a little downhill in crunch time at the end of the year. I mean, I know Riley Moss was out for a little bit, but they did add some pieces, not just to the secondary, throughout their entire defense. So it's looking really good. I mean, led by Pat Surtain, of course, but a lot of other potential star defensive players. If you like Zach Allen's next in line with that contract extension, it could hit at any given time. They just wrapped it up with one of their star offense players in Courtland Sutton. And they kind of hit on that a little, talk on that a little bit. A lot of people overreacting, I think, from the money. I think that money sounds about right. It sounds like a lot of money, but it actually ends up being like 18th or so in terms of receiver money. I think the surprising part was the length, because you add that extension, that actually 4 years, it actually makes it a 5-year deal. It just depends on how it's structured, but I think people are kind of talking about the wrong things with that. But Sutton's been he's over the last couple of years, I feel like he's not single-handedly, won them football games with some insane plays to keep drives alive, to score a touchdown on 3rd down, 4th down, whatever. He's been so important, very underrated, but just a lot of positive from the Denver Broncos. Both sides of the ball, which is rare, fantastic. But the most important thing is that second-year quarterback, Bo Nix, who is a guy that's a candidate for an incredible step up after an incredible rookie season, or a sophomore slump because maybe he was a little bit better than expected last year. That's kind of been the talk, but everything is looking really good for Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos right now. So really enjoyed doing this video. Wanted to cover every team, perfect world, but I don't want to force takeaways from teams right now. There's just a lot of teams you're not hearing a ton about, or there's some really good teams that they're just they're still really good. There's nothing new out there. So this is what I had. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. A lot more NFL. We cover everything NFL. Pumping out the fantasy shorts right now as well. So check it all out. Like, subscribe to notifications on. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.